Hi.
What?
We're starting. Oh, hello and welcome everyone to the second Vupirian Prime Minister debate. This is so exciting. Today we are going to be having the Senators Jambon. We're starting. Hello and welcome
Pope
everyone
fight to
the second Vupirian
words.
Prime Minister debate.
That was a
this
little
is
bit
so
anticlimactic.
exciting. All right. So, with that in mind, hopefully we see some good policy proposals tonight. We see some very high quality. Is there no audio? Has everything I just said been wasted?
Possibly.
Okay. Okay. Thank
Pope is in the
God. We
wrong
need a better
place.
AV. I swear the first question I'm going to ask the candidates is what we're doing about our failing AV department in the government. Wow, that's a lot of fancy cameras back there.
Pope, you want to go back in?
So I guess you guys can show yourselves because maybe. Wow, that's a lot of fancy. One moment.
You called them.
Wait. Never mind. It's fine. I've got this under control. Please welcome our candidates. From servers past, we have Senator Jambon. One moment. Oh, look at that sexy face. Jambon, I'm so glad to see you. From Sanvu Prisco, we have Senator Pope Francis, the man of sunshine and tsunamis. From Landing Cove, we have Senator Tycho, the man of also a sunny cove. Wow, we have a lot of beaches. And from Voutmont, we have Senator Coolio, who comes from the depressing snow-covered land known as Voutmont. All right. Wow, we have a lot of beaches. And from Voutmont, we have Senator Coolio. Let's go ahead and talk about the structure of the debate now, because that's probably what we're going to be going off of unless we have any more gaffes. All right. So we are going to begin with 60 seconds opening statements from each of the candidates, starting with Senator Jambon. Other than that, we are going to be doing 1 minute for openings and introduction, which I just said. We're going to go through the questions and give 2 minutes to answer. People will be given 30 seconds each to rebut, and they can request that with the lights under their podium. And there will be timers controlled for the bar at the top for the candidates to see, and that is pretty much it. We'll try to make this a little bit faster and more concise than the last debate, and hopefully Coolio doesn't disappear halfway through. That would be sad. I think other than that, we're pretty much ready to get started. Hopefully Coolio doesn't disappear halfway through.
All right.
That would be sad.
Now we just gotta wait for Jambon to write his speech.
Someone said there's audio feedback, but that's not on my end. Someone's echoing.
All right.
Now we just gotta wait.
But that's not on my end. Someone's echoing.
Literally. Hello there, I will be speaking via TTS today.
How's your day?
My main aim as a PM candidate is to prevent the burning down of the Vupirian government, both figuratively
Jambon
and
supposed to be
sometime
saying
literally.
his thing?
Hello there, I will be speaking via
Probably
TTS
hearing it.
today. My main aim as a PM candidate is to prevent the burning down of the Vupirian government.
I will be reading for Jambon. Hello there. I will be speaking via TTS today. My main aim as a PM candidate is to prevent the burning down of the Vupirian government, both figuratively and sometimes literally. Ignore the first bit. Yeah, just you can type it in Minecraft. I will read. Yeah, just thank God, finally we have a candidate running on the important issues, like burning down the Vupirian government. I've been waiting so long.
Very important.
It's did someone cross out technical difficulties on the bingo card?
Already done.
Alligate, you can't just sit. People spent $35,000 to be not near you. Okay, you're not allowed to have an opinion. All right. So I guess I have to keep you guys entertained while everyone else gets things under control. So we know our candidates pretty well. We know their districts. Today, our main priorities to go over are going to be economic issues, nerdcraft, proportional voting, and probably we will see something about consolidation or cleaning up the hundreds of useless bills we have. So that's what I believe we're going to be seeing, but I haven't actually been sent the questions yet. So I'm going to just make a guess. Someone should probably send me those before we get to the questions. Knowing that, I do think the biggest thing
Mr.
today...
Emperor, Dan can just read them.
Oh, that's fine.
Oh, also, you completely ignored the opening statements.
What? I was told to give Jambon time.
Oh, I was...
Jambon,
He's going to be typing his opening statement, so I'm going to read it out when he's done. Anyways, while I continue to... Okay, Jambon's done. Fantastic. You know, it starts horrible every time, okay? It's like drinking sewage, you know? It starts awful, and it continues to be awful. I may set up the next one of these because I actually know how to like set up complicated live streams. Okay. Where did Jambon send it? Did he send it to me directly? No, I got something from Dan. Oh, the question list. That's so nice of Dan. Dan is such a guy. Okay. We will wait until we have more information relating to... So in the meantime, Echo! Wait, who's the other moderator?
Me, Dan.
Oh, hi Dan. How's it going? Ow. Okay, so let's talk about this a little bit before the debate starts. This is always a pre-debate, conversation. So what do you see being the biggest of the topics we look at today?
Probably the economy. It's been stagnating recently, and I feel like a lot of people want it to recover.
What do you think? Do you have any things in mind that you think are going to be brought up relating to the economy? I know we've all probably been hearing few whispers in the background, but do you have any specific policy in mind you think might be contentious?
Definitely the central bank is going to be talked about.
Oh yes, the central bank's a big one. I'm very excited to see Nerdcraft discussion as well, because I've given so little information about Nerdcraft that any bill based on it is going to be so interesting, because it's going to force me to design the server in a different way. So I can't wait to learn.
Yep.
All right, it looks like Jambon is ready. Jambon, where are you going to be sending this? DMs? Chat?
No, I think it was the first thing he actually read. I think that may have been his entire opening statement.
Wait, was that the entire thing?
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, so I guess Pope can begin his now.
Oh my god, I thought there was more, so this was all Alright, that's a little bit funny. This is why we should fire the Emperor and elect him instead. No, don't take that seriously. That is not an actual discussion topic
here first,
for
folks.
the candidates. Thank you, Pope Francis. You will today be saying your opening statement now.
Emperor Spike Viper, Senator Dan, Senator Tycho, Jambon, and Coolio. It is an honor to be on the stage with all of you with me. I would just like the Vuperian people to know that every single candidate on the stage, no matter if we've had our differences before, no matter if we've had our arguments, our discussions, all of them are men of honor and principle. So I respect all of you. Thank you for being on the stage. Now, Vuperian citizens, your senators, they face a dilemma. They have to choose between multiple candidates. They have to choose between, different arguments, different platforms. So here's what I suggest to all Vuperians is it is so vital for you to participate in your district government. And that means looking and researching candidates' platforms, looking and reaching out to candidates asking questions and trying to get involved. That is very important. Now, on to some of my policies. I think that I am very proud of myself because I know that I have a plan and I have policies. I am working with the best team that any candidate could ever ask for. Spike Viper, Luca Plays, Senator Super Jacob. I have everybody for every role. And that's why you need me as your prime minister. I can take office from day one, knowing exactly what to do, knowing exactly how to do it. That is the kind of prime minister we need, and that is the kind of vote and the kind of election that this is. I yield my time.
All right, a very concise and even short opening statement by Pope. Not quite as short as Jambon's, but, you know, making good use of time so far. And that means that we're going to head on to the next candidate, Tycho, who we are going to simp for as he's showing off his voice yet again. Tycho, that's your cue.
Is he gonna
All right.
type it out?
I don't know if he's going to type it out.
He's unmuted.
I'm going to stare at him a bit.
He says, hold on.
All right, Tycho is having a slight epiglottal issue. We're going to...
Is it working?
Yeah,
Yes,
I
it is
heard,
working.
I heard that.
Okay, well, hello. My fellow Vupirians. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, and I will not have sexual relations with corruption either. As Chief Justice of the Vupirian Supreme Court, I fought against corruption, and I will continue to do this as Prime Minister. Today I ask you to make your voice heard and speak for your friends in Medievala and Old King who do not have a voice. Make it clear to your senators that you all want districts to be represented at all times, and make it clear that you want a Prime Minister who is experienced and knows what they're talking about. Under my administration, we will have reliability, freedom, and a great future. I will make sure the government operates more efficiently than ever, and will get rid of roles that merely serve as titles for people who want power. We will have efficiency, prosperity, and greatness. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Tycho, for another concise statement. Wow, you guys are doing really good with the time so far. And then we will move finally on to Coolio, or Coolio Stunt Double.
I have no idea what I'm doing, but I hope I do a good job.
Is that all?
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Wow,
very
that one was
concise.
very concise.
Nice.
Damn, Coolio managed to get it down under 10 words. Wow, alright, so if we're going for concise arguments, I think we may have to hand this to Coolio. But if we're going for anything more than that, I think that we're going to have a little bit of a debate. Speaking of debate, I think it's time we get the debate started.
Probably.
Alright, so with that said, I guess we're going to have to get started with the questions. Do you want me to start with that, or do you want to start with that?
You could do the first one if you would like.
Oh boy, this is going to be a big loaded question. Alright. To all of my fellow candidates, what policies do you support to improve the economy? Since we started the opening statements with Jambon, I guess we will start this one out with Pope.
Thank you, Emperor. I have created a very descriptive and long list of policies that I support for economy, starting with a new community member check. And what that would entail is giving community members money so that they're able to afford and get their life started in Vupiria. Not only that, but it will also help increase the economy and spending. It'll help cash flow, increase the GDP. It will do so much good for so many Vupirians. Next is I have Economic XP, which actually I came up with that idea, and I'm very proud of coming up with that idea. It is the way that it's going to work is we're going to have it so that, let's just say you buy a $100,000 house or whatever. You buy that $100 house, you're going to get Economic XP, not only for spending, but also for making money. And so that is how we want to encourage spending and how we want to encourage moving money. Not only that, but I also highly, highly support the central bank. Jacob's central bank is probably the most amazing economic change and the best economic
Pope, I'm gonna have to cut you short there. You used your time, but thank you for what you were able to say in that time. Sorry. Before I continue, I would like to say candidates attacking each other through text chat is going to get you kicked from the server. So please respect the other candidates while they're talking. Thank you. All right. So next off, we're going to go up to Tycho with the same question.
In my platform, I detail a policy to tax groups for being inactive. This means that if the owner of a group is inactive, the group will be taxed the same as if a normal inactivity tax against a person. This will prevent people from storing their credits in random companies instead of investing them in a bank or just being active. This will help stimulate our economy by providing more money to the UBI, which is spread out among the people, and will also provide additional government income. And I also believe we plan on using that additional government income to help fund Nerdcraft districts in order to help improve the economy in a future Nerdcraft. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Tycho. And then we're going to move on to Coolio. What economic policy?
I'm sure we could expect a nice, very long response for this.
Well, I mainly want to have government-funded infrastructure because I believe that the government, if they fund the infrastructure in Vuperia, then the government and then the districts will give that funding back to the economy and fund economic growth throughout all of Vuperia. And I also believe that we should definitely give districts funding for the Nerdcraft Fund, because that will also help Vuperia grow a lot when it comes to economic terms. I yield my time.
We have a rebuttal from Pope, it seems.
All right.
Not as much as a rebuttal, but in a supporting of that. I really agree with you on that. I think it's very important if we fund districts and help them create their infrastructure, because I am widely known as Pope Roads. And that is the kind of thing that I think we all need. Every single district should have really good looking roads. They should also have very efficient power lines. They should have oil pipes. The district should be able to provide the citizens with electricity, and they should be able to provide them with that cleanly and efficiently. And I completely agreed with your statement about infrastructure. And that's mostly why I rebutted, but I yield.
Oh, thank you. Wow, we see cooperation between candidates. This is nothing like the first one. All right.
All right.
I guess we'll have to move on to Jambon now, who's going to give us an absolute piece of toast about the economy. That's a compliment. Toast is yummy. I support a lower overall tax rate and reduction of amount of restrictions on the economy. The aim of this is to encourage the movement of money to eventually result in the return of money. Nerdcraft districts should be provided. This is going to be a continuation, don't worry. ... Maybe I should have spoken slower. It's okay.
For the districts, we will be having...
Don't worry, it's okay. Nerdcraft districts should be provided with anime waifus. I just got him all the votes right there. I'm joking. He didn't actually see. With starting money to allow their economies to be kickstarted and self-propel themselves, and of course, anime waifus. Oh wow, that's actually a part of his campaign. Wow. See, I know Jambon so well. All right, Jambon, do you yield your time?
Tycho seems to want to make a rebuttal.
All right, so something I'm going to do, which I didn't do last. Tycho's rebuttaling?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Tycho, you may rebuttal. You have 30 seconds.
I would just like to say that Jambon is a femboy. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Tycho. So unlike last time, I think one of the things that we had a lot of issues with in the debate was that all of the candidates kind of supported the same things, and it was kind of hard to make them stand out. So I went through and I took note of each of the policies that have been proposed by each of the candidates, and I'm just going to ask, but one after another. Who supports each? And I'm going to ask that you guys stand on your podium if you support the presented policy. So first off, which among you support inactivity tax for groups?
Oh,
All right.
We can't really do this if...
Yeah, we can't really do this for
he doesn't
Topsy.
have Minecraft.
Oh.
Coolio, just say yes or no.
Yeah, Coolio, say yes or no, and then he'll jump on
Yes.
or off. Okay, so everyone here supports inactivity tax for groups. Great, go back down. Now I'm going to ask, who here supports a central bank of Vuperia?
Yes.
Looking at Coolio.
All right, everyone here supports that policy. Fantastic. Go back down. Who here supports economic XP?
Yes.
Ooh, we actually have a break in the rakes this time. Tycho does not support economic
I'd like to
XP.
hear his opinion on this.
Tycho, you can hit the rebuttal button if you want to give your reasoning. All right, Tycho, you have 30 seconds.
I do not currently support the economic XP proposed by Senator Pope Francis in his platform. I believe that it is not specific enough on what economic activity is, and if we are considering that /pay command is economic activity, that could easily be abused in order for people to easily gain activity. Thank you.
All right, Pope, if you want to respond to that, yeah,
Thank you.
you're hitting that button like a
yeah.
madman, and maybe give more specific
yes.
guidelines.
Okay, so Senator Tycho, what I meant and what it is it's really just an idea that we just came up with, like, as of recently. It's not an idea that has been developed very much. It's more of just a, hey, this is something that I think can actually do great. And actually, speaking of this, not too long ago, I was actually speaking with my economic advisor as to how we would make it happen. But for now, I can't really exactly tell you the details because I don't really know them yet because it was mostly purely just an idea. But I am very sure that just think of it. If people are given XP for making transactions and for buying things, that's going to motivate people to, buy stuff and move money around. And so that's kind of what the core belief of that idea was. And I think that you should not automatically not support something just because, it's new or it's not, you know what I mean? You got to look into it and figure out.
Okay, so your time is up. It
I
seems
yield.
Jambon wanted to make a rebuttal earlier.
All right,
should hear
Jambon,
that.
we will give Jambon the rebuttal. I feel that in the current state of this plan is not prepared enough to provide a valid opinion, and it sounds like it could cause fraud. All right. That is true. I will say that personal experience here, the message XP system did have its own fraud issues. We very well know one person took extreme advantage of that. But when it comes to anything, I think that fraud could be an issue, and maybe this is something the candidates can work together on to come up with a way to make it work. I mean, one of you will become prime minister, but the rest of you will be senators, which means you're still going to be writing the legislation with each other. So I just wanted to throw that out there. So I'm going to let Dan actually take the next question here.
All right. So this is once again to all candidates. What are you going to do in your first days as Prime Minister? We're going to start with Tycho this time.
Well, in my first days as Prime Minister, I will try to make sure we get all the bills voted on that are currently backing up in our system. This includes bills like the Central Bank of Vuperia Bill and the Judicial Branch Amendment, which are very important currently and would be a great help to the government. I would also do things like working on consolidating more bills in order to make them more legible, such as what I did with the Judicial Branch Amendment.
Is that all?
Yes.
All right, let's move on to Coolio now.
So in my first days as the Prime Minister, I believe the first thing that I would do is the same thing as Tycho would do, basically just trying to get all those bills that are currently backed up out and voted on before we can focus on doing anything major in government. We have to focus on the little things first before we can go onto the big screen. I yield my time.
Alright, let's move on to Jambot now.
In my first days as Prime Minister, running Senate votes and organizing with senators on what they feel the future of my position should be, as well as polling citizens. Alright. Very clear and concise from Jambon.
Does that mean it is?
He
Let's
yielded.
move on to Pope now.
All right. Well, I think that this is a great question. Also, I believe that what I would do in my first immediately and on my first day would be to suggest appointment ministers. Often, in a lot of our ministries, we're having ministers who are either inactive or are completely just not even working on what they're supposed to be working on, which is their ministry. And so that's one of the things that I would do immediately as becoming prime minister is proposing replacements for many inactive ministers. And also, this consolidation bill thing, I agree with that completely. I think we have a lot of bills, as seen in the Vupiri Code of Laws, which took me a week because there were so many bills. And so I completely agree that we need to focus on consolidating bills before we decide to add 20 more, if that makes sense. And another point is we could actually, here's one thing I would do as Prime Minister, is encourage senators that have ideas of the similar, of like a similar section to work together on one bill rather than proposing two bills that effectively do, similar things. That's one of the things, and one of the major
I'm gonna
things
have
that I
to
would
cut
do.
you off there, Pope. But thank you.
You don't have to cut me off right when it just.
I have to be fair. I'm cutting everyone off right when they go over. It's okay. All right. Next question will be mine. All right. Let's go into the questions and see what we have next. Oh, should we do the specific? It's ones first.
I think we could do the specific
all right,
questions.
Pope. I'm gonna bounce this
All
right
right.
back at you.
Let's see.
Pope, why should you be trusted to be the prime? Ago.
I would just like to say that this question is a great one, and it's also very, very personal to me. A couple months ago, I allowed myself to become, I guess you could say, I felt like I was in a position where I didn't need to worry about others, and I felt like I was in a position that, I shouldn't have been. And I was completely wrong in what I did, and I already apologized for it, but I think that it's important that, we let people make mistakes, because making mistakes is the most important part of life. That is how people learn. After you make a mistake, you are a better person after that. That is a mistake that I made, and that is a mistake that I will live up to and say, yes, I did that. That is a mistake I made, and it will not happen again.
All right. Thank you, Pope, for your response. And then I will let Mr. Dan take the next one.
So we're going to give this question to Tycho. So people have been saying that you only want to be PM to gain more power. What's your response to them?
Well, I believe that this claim that I only want power is pretty baseless. They suggest that I knew that Serge was going to immediately resign as Prime Minister as soon as I became Senator. However, this is completely false. I wasn't even... Sorry.
Is that Tycho?
There's a pug attacking him. Did Tycho's human form just break? Did his pug just rip out of his brain?
He says
Oh,
one
God.
sec, lol.
Well, while we wait, want to play ping pong with a snowball? One of my... we'll do it with a glass of whiskey.
Oh, okay.
Oh. That was a good throw. Ready? Try to catch this. Oh,
Spike, your time is up.
why is there a tiny pig?
Tycho, it's okay. We don't care if we
believe
hear
that
your
is
dog.
Luca's ult.
Tycho, it's
Is that the
okay.
camera? Oh, there is a Children are not allowed in the political field.
I think they're done.
All right. You
Okay.
can continue with your question. We'll give you another 45 seconds.
So as
Yeah.
I was
Take
saying, I believe this claim that I only want power is completely baseless. They suggest that I knew Surge was going to resign as Prime Minister directly after he was elected, and I knew he was going to move to the Supreme Court. However, this is completely false. I actually suggested that Dan, one of the moderators here, and Shub become Supreme Court justices, not Surge.
All right. Is that all? All right.
All right. Well, my next question is going to be going. Oh, I'm going to sneeze real quickly. One moment. Okay, I have sneezed. Glad to say. Jambon, next question is going to you. Many people say that you don't do much in the Senate in terms of bill making. What is your response to that? Man, these questions are kind of pointed. They all say many people at the beginning when they were all proposed by a single person. There could be one guy who's just
What
like,
is this? A CNN town hall?
I don't like Jambon. I'm gonna write, millions of Whooperians are concerned about you punching children in the street. What is your response? That goes for everyone, not just Jambon. I like the questions. They're very pointed. Mr. Pope, while we're waiting, could you please not use weapons in the debate?
Sorry, I have an addiction to bow.
Second Amendment, right? You gotta
Sorry,
allow it.
I just have to. Sorry, I have an addiction.
I feel that that's a perfectly fair claim, and as current is true. However, I have several bills both in the works and plans, and intend to come back to activity after a dip in activity. I'm going to assume he's yielding after that, but we will wait until he says it. Yes, of course. Oh, all right.
Move on to
Fantastic. You got the
Coolio
next
now.
question.
So Coolio, you've described yourself as a joke candidate. Is this true?
Well, honestly, I have said that I was a joke candidate. But after people started supporting me for some stupid reason, I don't know anymore. And I yield my time.
Well, I mean, that's an interesting response. All right. Oh, wait, we already took this. But why is the same question here? Okay, never mind. All right. Tycho.
Didn't you do
Is
Tycho
there.
first last time?
Well, I mean, I'm taking the questions in order, and this is directly to Tycho. So, like,
True.
okay, Pope, as Tycho.
I will answer gladly.
Okay, Tycho. Why should someone who admittedly does not know much about the economy be elected for PM?
I have never stated that I did not know much about the economy. I stated that I did not understand it in depth. So, I have recently watched the economic machine video that Jacob recently suggested to me. And I have learned a lot more about the economy since then. And since that time, I have supported the Central Bank of Luperia Act, and I believe I am much more educated on the economy now. However, I still plan on having an advisory committee for the economy, consisting of people at, like, probably Jacob and Coca, depending on if they want to join.
All right, I think that is a sufficient response. Okay, you can take the next one. Dan, this is an interesting...
For everyone except Tycho now. Okay, we're gonna start with... Who started last time? I think it was Coolio started last time. Well, I guess... Okay, let's start with Jambon this time. Do you
Prepare to
have
wait.
any plans for informing the public about new bills, as Tycho has promised in his campaign?
We maybe should have taken Jambon second so we could have actually written, but it's fine. It's fine. Everything's gonna be okay. Just breathe. All right. I currently have no plans for informing the public on bills. However, I feel that through a sort of weekly simplification of bills for the people would be useful. All right. Thank you, Jambon, for that response, and then we will go on to Mr. Papre France.
I'm sorry. I kind of was not listening because I was listening to Jambon's silence. So if you could ask the question again, that would be very.
Do you have any plans of informing the public about new bills? Tycho has promised it in his campaign. Do you agree with him?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that is one of the most important parts about being a prime minister. You are the prime minister for the people rather than just for yourself, because that's often what a lot of people do in power. But that's the most important part about being prime minister, is being able to communicate your actions and educating the public on your actions. So I agree completely with Tycho's current policy on that, and actually would probably end up taking the policy myself.
All right, now let's move on to Coolio.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Right, third time's the charm. Do you have any plans of informing the public about new bills, as Tycho has promised in his campaign?
No, next.
All right.
I'd like to make a rebuttal.
Yes, Hope you are entitled to a 30-second rebuttal.
I would like to say that Coolio is absolutely sexy. I yield.
Based and red-pilled. All right, let's.
I'm going to sue you now.
Jambo would like to make
really?
a rebuttal.
Sexual harassment in the workplace.
Jambo would
California.
like to make a rebuttal now.
I'm taking the next. Oh God, this question is not important at all. I haven't failed in this respect in any way. All right, to all candidates, do you have any plans to implement ways of educating new users on how the Spook Vooper system works? And we're going to be starting with Papre France.
Thank you, Emperor, and thank you also whoever wrote that question. That's a good question, and let's be honest here. We have had some failures with potential education in the past. Just look at Voutmont University. It started off really well, and it ended up looking like it was going to be something that was going to benefit people, but it actually failed, and we wasted a lot of money. And so that's what I don't want to happen, meaning that as Prime Minister, I will definitely support an education system and an education university that shows promise. I'm not just going to give money to I'm not going to give your money, taxpayer money to random people. What I will be doing, though, is probably end up creating a council on education to investigate and look into every potential, employee or employer for those, so that we're able to make sure that only the good places get the money, so that we don't just give people money.
Okay, so
all right. Unsurprisingly, Coolio seems to want to make a rebuttal. Coolio, you have 30 seconds.
Just a note, I did not mean to attack you at all, Coolio.
As the Emperor said, no money was actually spent on Voutmont University because no money was actually given to Voutmont University to build anything. And even though it did end up failing, and I'll give you that, no money was actually spent in the end. The only money that was spent was by people who donated.
All right, I have a CNN fact check right here. VNN fact check right here, and it is true that no money was spent on Voutmont University because it failed before we managed to move it into Nerdcraft.
And my point, I'll make a rebuttal.
You may respond, but since it's a response to a response, you have like 15 seconds.
Okay, well, okay, I gotta go quick. Now I forgot my point. No point in rebutting anymore.
All right.
Spike, you made me forget my point.
Well, you want to find it real quickly? Okay, never mind. Okay, we'll go on to the next.
Oh no, I remember. Here's my rebuttal. You Coolio, you're right, and Spike, you're right with your VNN fact check. But you see, we ended up spending hours working on bills, working on pointless bills and pointless policies that would end up working towards a failing university. And that's what I meant, is making sure that we know that the university is going to be successful before, taking all that time and all that risk. That's all
So time costs as well.
And
all
risk,
right.
but yeah.
So we're going to go on to the next candidate on the topic of educating about the community, and we are going to give that to Mr. Tycho Pugman.
Question.
The question very specifically is, do you have any plans to implement ways of educating new users on how the Spook Vooper system works?
Well, some of the other candidates on this stage have suggested just giving 5,000 credits to new users. However, I believe that is not a great policy, as it can be easily abused. I think a better way would be to pay new users to take part in an education course in order to get them educated about the economy and the government and help them get more involved. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Tycho, for
I'd
the
like to make a
response.
rebuttal.
Okay, you have 30 seconds, Pope.
I'd just like to respond to Tycho's statement saying that his idea actually it makes sense. It's something that I would definitely look into as Prime Minister. Just want to note, though, as Prime Minister, I will not just rule something off the table because it's by my political enemy. I will search into it, I will look into it, and I will actually study into it and research and try to figure out what makes the most sense. Now, onto my other point. We wouldn't just be giving them. It's hard to abuse that because we wouldn't be just giving them to every single new user that joins the server. We would be giving it to users who have reached like 10 messages or 20 messages, or a small limit that's easy to reach, if that makes sense.
I would also like to know, as the programmer of Spook Vooper, it is impossible for a user to get money who does not make a Spook Vooper account. So it would at the very least require someone to put the effort in to create a Spook Vooper account and probably choose a district before we're even able to give them money. But Tycho, you may rebut the rebut. Or actually, no, it was you originally, so you get 30 seconds.
I'm just saying that there are many people out there who are dedicated to just receiving money and want fraud, and want to commit fraud. So I believe that they would definitely be willing to go through the effort of making a new Discord account, a new Spook Vooper account, and join a district, because it's not really that difficult. However, I may change my position on this if you can guarantee that no existing user will be able to make another Spook Vooper account.
I don't think it's physically possible to guarantee that, but I would like to note that even the UBI system could be fraudulently used. As the person who programmed it, I will admit there is zero way to be 100% sure, but I will let Pope respond to that. Pope?
Thank you, Emperor. And I agree completely. I just think that I can actually guarantee that we would not just be giving it to users. Would have to be completely new. Like the person would have to be, they would have to show that they're trying to be part of the community. We're not just going to give people money. That's not what I support. I support giving people who show promise and who show effort into the community, and I yield.
All right. Oh god, we have Jambon now with a rebuttal. I don't know to who, but Jambon, you may go ahead and throw your response in. God, I love debates. I wish I was on the debate
Emperor,
stage. It's so much
Spike,
more fun.
Cynthion has not gone yet, so if you want to just...
It is very possible to lie and create a persona, especially in return for money. Alright, so I understand everyone is concerned about fraud, but one thing is that if we find fraudulent accounts, they are banned and removed, and we trace down everyone who is related to it. So using fraudulent accounts is going to put your main account at risk of being found, and Mr. Spike Viper Coderman is slightly capable of doing things. So when we're talking about policy in the future, try not to think about technical issues. Try to think about, policy issues, all right? Because otherwise I'm going to have to get involved, and I don't want to get involved because I'm the one who actually programs it, and I want to let you guys debate each other, not my code, okay? Thank you. I know that was a bingo card thing as well, so go ahead. cross off Spike gets involved. Damn it. All right. Down to Coolio. How's it going, Coolio?
Okay. Well, I believe that in order to help the people with getting onto the economy and all that, and actually getting involved in government, we need to be able to provide them with a proper education on what to do once they get involved. Which basically means I think we should also provide them with a course or something, but a course that is free that they can work on, that they can get on, and be able to learn how to do things in the economy and in the government to basically be involved. And I yield my time.
All right, just to understand what you're proposing, who do you think is going to run this free course?
What did you say?
I'm just curious about, you said you want to run a free course, but who are you proposing runs that? The government?
Well, I believe, the government can run that free course, and people who are educated in the factor of government and economic, basically that MOF, that they can run it, and the people in the government, mainly the Senate and in the judiciary branch.
All right, thank you. I just wanted to clarify because getting the difference between private and public is pretty important for our viewers at home. All right, Dan, go ahead and take that next question. Saucy question for Saucy
Jambon
Man.
might still need to go.
Oh, Jambon! Jambon, I'm so sorry. You can go. God, no saucy questions for no saucy men. Education is incredibly important. I feel as though starting users should be provided with simple ways to get involved in the community and become more educated on how the Vuperian government and economy operates. Both educating and bringing money in for the user. Wait. Oh, okay. I'm gonna read that again all together so it sounds less broken. Education is incredibly important. I feel as though starting users should be provided with simple ways to get involved in the community and become educated on how Vuperian government and economy operates. Both educating and bringing money in for the user. All right, fantastic. All right. Okay, now Saucy Man, you can grab a question.
All right, so this question is to please get on your stand. This question is for everyone.
I fell off, sorry.
How can the Vuperian people trust that you'll be a good PM? Who started it last time? Was it Pope?
It's going to be Tycho this time.
All right, Tycho, you may begin.
Well, the first reason you can trust me to be a good PM is because I've already led a branch of government. I was the Chief Justice of the judicial branch of the Vuperian government, and I would say I ran that pretty well. I have gotten the approval of many other justices and other citizens, and had about a 70% plus approval rating from polls, if I can remember correctly. I believe that my past government experience, combined with my policies, show that I can be an effective and good leader in the future.
All right. Do you?
I mean, his time's up, so.
Yeah. All right, so Coolio, now it's on to you.
I know that the people don't really have much faith in me after what I've done and leaving the server for over a month. But I promise to the people that if you let me become the next Prime Minister of Vuperia, I promise that I will only do what the people actually want, and I will only do what's best for Vuperia. I yield my time.
Alright, so now we're gonna go on to Jambon.
Mom, I'm scared.
So Dan, you yell at me, but when Tycho goes off his stand, you could give a crap.
He's fixing his podium.
Shh. It's okay. I just have to clear my throat like 8 times to give Jambon time. All right, this is going to be a really good response right here. Trust me. Trust is simply based upon prior actions. I do not believe I have done any heinous act, at least within the government itself. Transparency is essential and cannot be proved until it is visibly seen. And proved, I yield.
Alright,
Okay.
let's move
That
on
works.
to Pope now.
All right, Papre France.
This is a really good question. And for me, I think that this is a very important subject. Trust. I am not only the longest, if not actually, I am tied with Jam Bam for longest serving senator. I also have the most bills passed of any senator, and I hold the record for the most bills passed in one vote as a senator. Not only that, but I have the track record, the professionalism, and I have the experience that a prime minister needs when being part of the Senate. And
All right, we're going to pause you really quickly. Tycho is rebutting part of that.
What Senator Pope said when he said that he passed the most bills in the Senate is false. I have passed about 11 bills, which
I have passed
believe...
13.
Okay. Good for you.
Tycho's
Have
Well,
that
one
check
moment, one
recently.
moment.
I
I'm
did.
going to do a VNN fact check very
Yes.
quickly.
Check
Um,
that.
One moment, because I actually have a list of all of the bills that both candidates passed. Because
I
both
recall
of you,
Spike saying that this would come in handy.
actually forwarded me the list.
Oh, I was wrong. I'm tied with him. We're tied.
Tied with 11.
Wait, what? That list is not correct. That list is not correct. He gave you.
No,
That's
the
not
the
correct.
list that we were given was not full for you.
Yeah, for me, it's not full.
Alright.
There's more.
We'll do a fact check after because I don't want to look through the Vuperian Code of Law.
I have a
could-
question
could
for
I-
Senator
could I-
Pope.
Yeah, sure. I'm open to that.
Does that list of 13 bills include ones passed in the old Senate?
No, it does not.
Okay, just clarifying.
It's all good. Also, I
Alright.
would like to finish my statement because you kind of cut me
All
off.
right,
halfway
back
through.
to Pope, unless he gets
Okay.
challenged again.
Also, I would just like to finish my statement by saying you can trust me as the Prime Minister because I will work with the people who know what they're doing. I will not be a Prime Minister that just goes off my own opinion. I will research and I will do the work required to make the proper decision. That means contacting the professionals. You know, if I don't know about this decision about the economy, I'll talk to, I don't know, I'll talk to, I was going to say Vikos, but rip Vikos. I would talk to Jacob. I would talk to Luca. I would talk to Spike. I would talk to even Tycho to generally get his opinion. This is the kind of things that I would do as your Prime Minister. I would make sure that the information that I am providing and the information that I'm using to make my decision is 100% accurate and real.
All right, we're gonna have to cut you off there.
I
But
yield.
thank
I
you,
yielded.
Pope. I give you a tiny bit of extra time because Tycho cut you off in the middle, so I hope that's fine.
Alright, let's
Um,
move on to Coolio now. Oh, has he already gone?
What is this
No.
ordering? Did everyone go?
I believe
Tycho went
everyone
first
went,
last,
yeah.
and then
All right.
Cooley goes
And
next.
who asked the question that time?
The one who asked the question, so now it's your turn.
All right. Oh God, that's a question. Ooh, sorry. Sorry, I just had like PTSD reading it. Would you support an infrastructure? Actually, I think for a question like this, for a specific thing, when I ask the question, if you do support it, jump on the podium, just to make it like doubly clear who supports it. Would you support an infrastructure fund where the federal government will pay something like 70 to 90% of infrastructure costs on Nerdcraft? Once I said 70 to 90, Pope jumps off.
I reacted a little bit too quickly to that. Sorry.
Okay. So none of you support something that drastic. So we'll start
Wait,
with.
I also do too.
We will start with Coolio. Coolio, why don't you support it, or did you actually support it? Because you may have actually said yes.
Nobody here supported
Yeah.
it, Spike.
I support it, but I
Oh.
forgot to say yes, I support it.
Oh, okay. Okay, so we do have one person who supports it. So I think to speed this up, we can have Coolio say what he supports about it, and then the other candidates can just rebut.
Alright, I mainly support the infrastructure bill because infrastructure in Vuperia is very important when it comes to building up districts. And if we fund districts' infrastructure, and even as extreme as 70 to 90%, we will get a payoff because after the infrastructure is built and everything is in place, then it will contribute to the economic status of that certain district, or even Vuperia as a whole. I yield my time.
All right, is there a specific Okay, Pope, you may respond.
I just want to clarify earlier, I did not support that, but I support everything but one thing. The one thing that I don't support is 70 to 80%, and I will explain my reasoning. That is because the district, or as part of my platform and as part of my belief, I believe that is very important for the districts to be self-sustaining. And what that means is not only giving them federal funding for them to spend, also encouraging them to levy their own taxes, levy their own bonds, and issue their own financial records. And so that's what I'm proposing, is giving the districts the ability to actually make money and then use that money to support their own infrastructure. But I agree completely that we need to have an infrastructure fund. I yield.
All right. Is anyone else interested? You can hit your button if you're interested in rebutting at all, or if you think that Pope summed it up nicely, then we'll go on to the next question. With Dan.
All right. So this is coming from a newer member of the community. As a newer member of the community, I found it very difficult to get used to the system. Do you have any plans to help new users? Wait, this is too similar to the other question, never mind. I'm gonna skip that. Do you support a Nerdcraft Lite while we wait for Spike to create a new Nerdcraft? Which
It's
could take a
okay,
few
you can
months?
skip that one too, because
Alright.
it doesn't matter if they support it. It matters if I'm programming it.
Would you support raising UBI temporarily to higher levels to boost the economy? We're gonna start with Jambon this time.
You read
I
that
think-
really quickly. Could you just say that again? You read really quickly.
Would you support raising the UBI temporarily to higher levels to boost the economy?
Right before Jambon starts, actually, he can type while I say this. Just for audience, if you're not very familiar with the rates, 90% of all revenue the government takes in is currently put towards UBI. So candidates, when you speak about whether you think it should be raised or not, you should probably also mention if you think that the UBI should go higher than 100% of revenue. Jambon says, I do not support a UBI rise. This was tested in the past and resulted in the mass hemorrhaging of the government fund. I yield.
Alright, let's
Alright,
move on.
but why do I make Jambon sound manly? Because he is manly.
Mike,
Look
you
at
don't
him
have
with
to
his
respond.
Pokemon guide behind it. Alright, next up, Pope.
Okay. So here's what I think about this. UBI is one of the most important systems we have to keep our economy moving. But it really it gets to the point now where it's hard for people to actually use the money because there's nothing to spend it on. And that goes back to some of my policies. But answering the question, yes, I would temporarily raise the UBI to help people, but very, very rarely and very, very shortly would I ever use that as under my powers. And what that would mean is like making sure that the situation, can you please, thank you, making sure that it's actually needed and not just to give people money that they're not going to be able to spend anyway. So that means...
Pausing you right there, Jambon wants to rebut.
Spike, you're not supposed to let someone rebut in the middle of someone else's statement. That's not how that works.
Okay, you can continue. It just makes more sense if you're currently saying this thing he wants to rebut. But
Well, he can write it down. That's how debates work.
Okay.
Well, I kind of forgot what I was going to say, but...
I just got wrecked by Pope.
Sorry, Spike, I do debate.
Okay, Jambon, what was your response? Would you support going over 100%?
No, absolutely not. I think that it's very important for the government to have reserve funding just in case it needs it. So if we were to go above 100%, it would potentially cause issues with, if we don't have any money, we don't have any extra funds to use. Like, if an emergency happens, what are we going to get the money from? So that's why I think it's important to have some sort of reserve, which comes back to the central bank. But I don't think there's been a question on that yet. But
Okay, so because I kind of destroyed your original thought, I'll throw you kind of a half question the other candidates can respond to as well. Under what circumstances would you be all right with raising the UBI?
In situations where there is a lot of products in the market and not enough money. B, there is there is one or two products that are needed highly by either the government or the people, or it's in a situation where you have people needing money for housing or like that. Like, for example, in the beginning, like in the last Nerdcraft, people were having issues being able to buy their own homes because they were so expensive. That would be a case where I would potentially consider raising UBI.
All right. Thank you, Pope. And then we will go on to Mr. Tyketh. Dun, dun, dun.
Well, okay. So I do not support raising the UBI temporarily. I believe that a better method would be having a group inactivity tax, which all of the other candidates here support, I believe. This would more stably and efficiently support the government and not make it so we have random bursts of economic excitement instead of a gradual, stable economic factor that is good, if that makes sense.
All right, that sounds good to me. And we will move on to Mr. Coolio, stunt double.
I do support raising the UBI in certain situations, but quickly lowering down the UBI after it's done. I mainly support this because it's easy. It's really needed if there's a certain situation in which not many people have enough money to buy things, and if we raise the UBI, then people will start getting invested in the economy more, and then when we lower it, they will have more money to sustain themselves. And what Jambon has said about us trying this in the past, we tried this in the past when there was no inactivity tax, and now that there is, I think it would be much safer to try this twice. I yield my time.
All right, was that all four of them?
I believe so.
Okay. You can take the next question then.
Alright. This is to all of you again. Would you support giving most of the Nerdcraft fund to districts, as the federal government is not involved in Nerdcraft, making the Nerdcraft fund useless? Okay, we're gonna begin with Pope now.
Dan, that's a great question because it is an issue that we're going to have to solve when the new Nerdcraft comes. And so I completely support giving the majority of the federal, the majority of the actually imperial government's funds, but there's a clause. And that is if the imperial government is using it for something more important. And that's the kind of decision making I would bring into the Prime Minister's office. I would bring in the position more as, well, it benefits this, but it doesn't benefit this. Well, how do we make it benefit both parties? That's very important.
I'm gonna just mention to all the candidates now, just in case they didn't know or if it modifies their response at all. The Nerdcraft Fund currently holds 10 million credits separate from the federal budget, and because Nerdcraft is obviously down, that funding is going to be available for the next one. So, Pope, I'll give you 15 seconds to just note on that, and then...
So then we would obviously be having that, but it's very important for the federal government to not only provide little... Sorry, I lost my brain because you interrupted me, but that's fine. And then basically we're going to make sure that the districts get enough. If they need more, we're going to give them more. If they have too much, we're going to take some away. We're going to make logical decision making. That's what I will bring. That's what I think my campaign has been very heavily on, is logical decision making and making smart and well thought out decisions. I yield.
All right, let's move on to Tycho now.
I do support giving most of the Nerdcraft fund to districts. It'll still fulfill its purpose of being a Nerdcraft fund, because I believe that most of the money in district accounts will be spent on infrastructure and purchasing plots in the next Nerdcraft on the moon of Spookvooper, which will help districts develop and will serve as a good, not super direct influence from the imperial government instead of a infrastructure fund.
All right. Let's move on to Coolio now.
I do support giving a lot of the Nerdcraft fund to districts if they are underfunded and they don't have enough money to sustain themselves. Because in order for a district to grow, it needs enough money to start off. And if a district doesn't have enough money to start off with, then how will we know we'll be able to contribute to the economy? And I yield my time.
We'll move on to Jambon now. Hopefully he's had enough time to prepare his answer.
I feel that it is an incredibly good idea, especially considering the new focus on the health of districts rather than federal. I'll just reread it. I feel that it is an incredibly good idea, especially considering the new focus on the health of districts rather than federal matters. Economic policy on the matter of Nerdcraft must always adapt. This is especially prominent due to the requirement of districts to purchase. Plots of land. This sort of spending will result in the economy self-sustaining. Okay, I think that might be it. I yield. All right, fantastic. Thank you, Jambon.
So I believe we just have one more question. Would you like to take that one?
Yes, I will take it. And then I'm going to ask a few questions of my own as well, because I actually do have a few questions for the candidates, as the Emperor and you will be working directly under me, getting me coffee, massaging my feet. No, I'm joking. Maybe, possibly, depending on who wins. Wink, wink, Tycho. Wink, wink.
Tycho is foot massager.
All right. Anyways, the last question is going to be, do you support having a vice prime minister, assistant to the regional minister? All right, who did we start with last time?
Me, so it's Tycho's turn.
All right, Tycho boy.
I do not support having a vice prime minister. I believe that it is just another unnecessary role for the government, and it would be better to just have a clarified line of succession, where the senator with the most seniority becomes the acting prime minister in a situation where the prime minister is unable to do their duties.
All right, and then we will move on to... Pope is smacking that like button. Pope, you may respond.
Thank you, Emperor. Tycho, I'd just like to tell you that the position of Vice Emperor was actually created by me and some of my advisors. And the main reason for it was to solve the issue of secession. Oh my god, why can I not... Secession? What's the word?
Succession. You can continue.
Okay, to solve the issue of succession, and that is, you may say it's a useless role, but it actually, we wrote into the bill that it has many responsibilities. One of the most is to actually assist the Prime Minister when they are unavailable. So that would mean, let's just say I'm on a weekend and voting's on Saturday, and I actually can't make it to the actual vote. So I have to say, hey, Vice Prime Minister, can you take over the position for me while I'm gone? And so, because if it's just the longest running senator, then you're going to have potentially issues of non-cooperation.
I have to cut you off. I'm sorry. I don't make the bar on the top. All right,
so
Tycho
it seems
has
Coolio wants to make a rebuttal too.
Okay, we'll start with Tycho.
In my first response to the question, I stated that the senator with the most seniority would also serve as acting prime minister when the prime minister is not available, as like Senator Pope was saying, when they are not unable to attend a vote or hold another vote. And if the senator with the most seniority is not able to do that either, it'll go to the next line in succession. And hopefully 15 people are not unavailable at once, or we would have some major issues.
I agree. Can I make one quick point as to a point I forgot about it?
After Coolio says
I'm
what
gonna
he
forget
had to
it.
say.
It's fine. Just forget about it then.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm just saying because I'm gonna forget. It's
Okay,
fine, though.
you can respond.
No, I don't want to respond. I was just saying. Move on.
Oh
It's fine.
my god. Coolio, do you still remember what you were gonna say?
Yeah. Okay, so basically, I disagree with what Pope said about needing a vice prime minister. I don't think it's necessary at all, because if the prime minister is going to go on a vacation or something like that in real life, then they could just have someone be appointed for them while they're gone, and they can private message the emperor telling them who they want to be in, like, basically in charge while they're gone. We don't need to make an entirely new government role just to feed someone's ego. It doesn't make sense to me. And I think we could just have the prime minister tell the emperor who they want, and then like that it'd be better off.
All right, I'm gonna have to cut you off there. Pope, is this something you are willing to budge on?
What do you mean?
Like, is this a really important issue to you?
Yes, it is. It is.
Oh.
The role itself is actually not just for the title. It actually has actual responsibilities. Surprising, right? The role itself, the role of it is to manage not only the ministries, but basically they are the assistant to the prime minister, meaning that they if the prime minister just says, "Hey, can you manage the ministries?" That'll be your job when you're in my administration, and they'll say, "Okay, I'll manage the ministries while I'm in your administration." That's what it is. It's supposed to be a cooperation of two people. It's supposed to be a cooperation of one who works in the Senate mostly, one who makes sure to oversee it, and then another one who's in charge of overseeing and reporting to the prime minister. And if we were just to use the most longest serving senator, then we would have issues because, like I said earlier, they could be people who disagree, they could be people who have issues with each other, and it could end up almost in political deadlock. So that's why it's important to have a position that the prime minister chooses as the second.
All right, Tycho, you may respond.
I do not understand how it would cause political deadlock. The acting prime minister would just serve in occasions where the prime minister is unable to hold a vote, or after they recently resigned during the extent of elections. So the claim that it would cause issues because of conflicting things is incorrect, and I also do not believe that the prime minister should oversee issues in the ministries. So that's why I think we should change the role to the imperial speaker to serve more as a speaker of the Senate instead of a prime minister.
So but it's called, okay.
Yeah, that's what I was
You're
about.
confusing me, Tycho.
I think Coolio wants a
Pope,
rebuttal
you may
too.
respond.
I actually, I don't know if you may be having trouble reading English words, but I believe it's called Prime Minister for a reason. I don't know if that's just me, but I'm pretty sure that's why the name is Prime Minister. But I believe we may have mixed it up when naming the position. But I think that it's important to give... okay, so the thing about our community, if you're new and watching, is that Spike Viper Emperor is the figurehead. He is basically the only main figurehead other than the Prime Minister. So then if we only have one Prime Minister and one Emperor, that's only two people. That two people can be offline and not having, issues very often. And so if we have another position that can work closely with the Senate when the Prime Minister is unavailable or when they cannot manage the Senate, it just makes it work better. And so that's why I think it's so important to have it. Not only that, but the Vice Prime Minister, the Prime Minister who was elected fairly should get a say when he's not there. And so having it be the senior officer of the Senate just doesn't make sense because he doesn't get a voice, even though he was elected fairly.
I think that Tycho may have just actually brought up a fantastic debate question between you two. During the next few minutes, or maybe the next 10 minutes or so, I'm going to be focusing more, if the other candidates do not object. If you guys do object, I will include all 4 candidates. But one of the complaints we had from the last debate was that there was no real time between the 2 major candidates talking about important issues, and that most of it got sidetracked. So I'm going to let Coolio make a rebuttal, and then I'd actually, if Jambon and Coolio are okay, I'd like to ask a question and have it be between Hope and Tycho. But Jambon and
an open
Coolio,
discussion is what you mean? An open discussion?
I just want it to be a little bit more focused, because I think you and Tycho have very conflicting views on how the prime ministership should work, and you're both the front runners. So I think that may actually be the most important debate to be had today. But first, we're going to let Coolio rebut, and then we're going to have Jambon rebut, because everyone's rebutting.
Okay, so I disagree with what Pope is saying about having a vice prime minister again, because the vice prime minister's job falls under what the prime minister is already doing. So I don't think it's completely necessary to have another prime minister, basically, and then have a vice prime minister, doing the same thing as the prime minister already. It doesn't make sense to me, and I yield my time.
To be fair, originally the prime minister was supposed to be the vice emperor, which was supposed to be the same thing as the emperor, except saved me time. But for some reason, we got rid of my assistant who gets me coffee, and now it actually means something. God. Okay, Jambon, you can say your rebuttal, and then I'll let Pope respond to both after. Excuse me, that's assault? Excuse me? Oh. I don't know why that didn't work. Ow! Why
I will do ban at A. Don't try me.
Alright. Everyone calm down. Alright. The question is now being posed. The important question I'd like to ask Hope and Tycho as the 2 frontrunners for the Prime Minister position. Jambon, your point. I'm sorry. You have to talk. You walked to me. No, it does get consumed because you threw something at me. That counts as your point. I'm sorry, Jambon. You just derailed the entire thing. It's your point. Oh, he threw a book at me. Oh my God! It's 2 pages long. I definitely do not support this concept, and it will result in an unnecessary amount of roles, and could very well, if taken dramatically, be seen as a form of a power grab. It is unlikely the Prime Minister will be unable to perform their duties, and there may be no viable temporary replacement. The concept of a Vice PM is not only unneeded and wasteful, but overly bulky. Man, you guys make so many weird ministries and stuff, and then you get so bent out of shape. I remember when I was the one like, do we need more people in the MOF? Do we need a MOJ? Can't we just allow this to just be under the exec? And you were all, no, we need 800 minutes. Why, when you guys argue with each other, do you agree with me? But when you argue with me, you don't agree with me. What the hell is up with this? All right. Sorry. Okay. I'm going to calm down.
It's Spike running for Prime Minister.
Okay. So I'm going to... Please put down the weapons. I'm going to now ask both of these central candidates to try to get prepared, because I'm going to ask probably the most important question of this entire thing, and I'm going to allow each of you to take about 3 minutes for your response, and I'm going to give you guys unlimited rebuttals. So, we'll see how this goes. For my final question, I am going to ask both of you frontrunner candidates. The Prime Minister role is not something that has ever existed before, except for Surge's trial, which was more of a test pilot. Surge wasn't very interested in actually defining the role and giving it specific values and responsibilities, while both of you seem to be extremely interested in making it into more than just a title. What will you do when you become Prime Minister to flesh out the role and give it actual meaning? What do you see the Prime Minister's goals, ideals, and purpose as being? And why do you fundamentally disagree with your opponent? And we will start with Pope Francis.
Thank you, Emperor. Personally, this is something I actually take very personally, because I think that the Prime Minister should be a position of honor and integrity. It should be a position that Vupirians strive to reach, and so that is what I would create under my administration, and that would entail a couple things. Number one, would I actually think that it would actually benefit the community if we put some more roleplay aspects in it. So what that means is having it so that we actually have an inauguration day where we have an actual inauguration speech, we have an inauguration platform, we have the ability for the Prime Minister to speak to the people when he gets elected, and for that period. Not only that, but I think that it is very important. If you read the role Prime Minister, it is very clear what the role is. They are the Prime Minister. That means that they are in charge of the ministries. That's what I think. I mean, if you look in most governments in the world, that is how it is run. The president or vice president even, and Prime Minister, their roles are to focus on the executive branch, which is the ministries. And so that's what I would do as Prime Minister. I would create it so that the Prime Minister can actually influence ministries, which means influencing policy, being able to actually influence policy more than currently allowed, because right now the Prime Minister can really just ask someone to do something. They don't have to do it. Here it would be almost like the Prime Minister would be able to ask something of his minister. And so I want to make this position a little bit more traditional and a little bit more intuitive. And so that's what that would entail. Another way that I intend to make it more representative is I want to make sure that people can actually talk to them, creating a direct line of connection between the people and the Prime Minister. I believe that the Prime Minister should be able to accept open criticism from people and should be able to ask questions of people and having them respond. So that's how important it is for me that this position becomes something of either a legend or something that people strive to. Because when you create a position where people look upon it, in a way that's respectfully, you actually encourage people to work harder. I yield my time.
Tycho, what do you believe the Prime Minister should be?
Well, personally, I believe that the Prime Minister currently has too much power. I was opposed to the Prime Minister Responsibility Act, which gave the Prime Minister emergency powers in a case of emergency, which I don't think were really necessary. Powers such as being able to veto bills when the Emperor is not around, and I do not support that. And I have also suggested renaming the role to Imperial Speaker to make it no longer confusing, because currently it's named Prime Minister, which is quite confusing for many people, and we aren't really sure if it really does have oversight over the ministries, and that has been strongly debated. So I believe that we need to lower the powers of the Prime Minister, rename the role, and make sure it's more of a title and someone who organizes and manages the Senate instead of someone who oversees ministries along with all that and also holds some executive powers. Thank you.
I'm going to ask you a quick question there, Tycho. Who do you think should be overseeing the ministries?
I believe that the Emperor or possibly a different role should oversee the ministries and not the Prime Minister, since we should not have all power concentrated under one role. But
I'd like to make a just quick rebuttal to that.
All right, you're free to do so.
The
You have 1
Emperor
minute.
himself is very, very busy. Spike barely has time to just talk to me sometimes. Like he also barely has time for the Senate. He's actually very, very busy, and I don't think making sure that he manages the ministries would be the best idea. No offense, Spike, but I know you're very busy. And I think that's why we need to. This is actually what I spoke about: is making the vice prime minister really focus mostly on the ministries, and the prime minister focusing mostly on the Senate. And that's why dividing the role would actually help, not only decreasing power like what you said, but it would also make it so that the vice prime minister has a say in the government, and it would also make sure that we have a little bit more balance and less power. So I yield.
All right. Tycho, you may rebut.
I did not solely suggest that the Emperor should have oversight of the ministries. I also suggested that it could be a different role, maybe something such as Imperial Minister, which would oversee all the ministries.
Tycho, that's why I created the vice prime minister role.
That is a different thing. This is different to what you're proposing.
Not really.
It is. It is not involved in the line of succession from the Prime Minister compared to a Vice Prime Minister. So if I could finish my point, as I was saying, the Imperial Minister would likely be appointed by the Emperor, or would be voted on by the leaders of the ministries and members of ministries, as they should choose the person who they want to represent them. I yield.
I would like to.
All right.
Tycho, it appears as though earlier you stated that you believe in stopping useless roles and just generally decreasing roles. Is that what you said?
Correct.
How are you going to do that while also decreasing power? Because that seems like if you want to make less roles, but you also want them to have less power, then you're going to have that. That logically does not make sense. I'd like you to respond if you would.
The main point I was making is useless roles, not just any role. So making random departments such as the Department of Building Codes or the Department of Labor, which are currently completely unnecessary. I don't support roles like that. And I don't think the Vice Prime Minister role would be super important either. However, an Imperial Minister would have his sole power focused on one thing. Thank you.
Hope you may respond.
On your point, actually, that's kind of why I created Vice Prime Minister. It is what you say we should make an Imperial Minister. Like, as you said, that is the point of having the Vice Prime Minister. Just because it's called Vice Prime Minister does not mean that it is a useless role that is only there to help the Prime Minister. It is. We could actually give it roles. We could give it positions. The name is really what we're debating right now. Both of our ideas are basically the same. And so, and not only that, but like you didn't really answer my question about power, because you say you want to decrease power, but you offer up more roles. And so like I said, it just logically does not make sense. But I think that we both agree that we need someone to oversee ministries. I feel like we both have different ways of going around about that, and that's something that we're going to have to, or that the next prime minister is going to have to deal with. I yield. You can go if you want.
Well, you may be correct. I don't think the role of Imperial Minister is very necessary either, as I don't really believe that the ministries really need that much oversight, apart from the members of the ministry keeping checks on them. And I also believe that the Vice Prime Minister is not very necessary either.
I wish someone just asked me what I intended when I designed the Prime Minister role.
Mr. Emperor, what did you design the Prime Minister role? You have 1 minute.
Well, I can't say that now because that would be biased, wouldn't it? Anyways, Coolio wants to speak really quickly. Tycho has to eat dinner, so Coolio, hold off one second. I'd like to ask one thing. So Tycho, you are happy with the ministries how they are now. You do not think they need oversight.
Yes.
Pope, you said earlier that you want to replace some ministers and put heavier oversight on the ministries to help them run more efficiently. Is this true?
This is true.
I think this is the fundamental difference between both of your platforms when you look past everything else. So I think that the Vupirian people are going to have to think about whether or not they're happy with how the ministries are currently being run, and whether or not they can be more efficient and whether they need oversight. So I'm glad we got something out of that conversation, although I will say that you both are kind of proposing a role that sounds really similar to each other with a different name, and both of you are proposing the same amount of new roles, so it's confusing for people watching. But let's go on to Coolio with his rebuttal.
Can I just answer the question?
If you want to answer the question, you may answer the question. I think they got plenty of time to hash it out.
Sad, Tycho's gone.
Okay, now, can you repeat the question?
What do you believe the Prime Minister should be?
Alright. I believe the Prime Minister role should basically just be an oversight for the Senate and the ministries, because the ministries may need to have an oversight that is, basically leading them as the ministries are growing more and more. And I do believe that the Senate also obviously needs a head, basically like a speaker of the Senate, that basically proposes bills, and not proposes bills, but like hosts the bill voting and all that. And I basically just believe that all the ministries should all have an oversight watching them. And as Pope has said, the emperor is very busy and can't always be there to oversight on the MOF.
I'm a busy boy. No, I'm just well, I am busy. Thank you, Coolio. So you're saying you actually agree with Pope in this respect?
Yes, I do.
All right,
And
Jambon.
could I just make a super quick rebuttal?
Yes?
Coolio, actually, I think you may have misunderstood, because that was my intention with the Vice Prime Minister. It wasn't just a useless role, it was to manage the ministries. So I know you disagree with that, but that's kind of what I meant by that. So if that clears anything up, just, you can go on now, Jambon. Oh.
The Prime Minister should manage the ministries and Senate. It should serve as the form of assistant to the Emperor, as funny as that may seem. This is actually the subject of one of my planned bills to reform the ministries and their oversight. Alright, so it looks like the two sub-candidates both support Pope's vision of the Prime Minister being a head over the ministries to keep them under account. So that is actually a interesting result of the night. I think that's going to come down to the single issue that is going to be in the senators' minds, because the Prime Minister was designed to be a helping hand to the government, and specifically myself. I won't say specifically what I wanted help with, because I feel like that would be pointed and unfair. I should have said it beforehand. But I will say that when the Senate is voting